Grandfather, I'm not tired yet. Could you tell me a Super Earth approved bedtime story? Why, of course, little Jimmy. Do you want to hear about the Automatons again? Yes, Grandfather. Please tell me about the Automatons.
Woo!
To tell you the story of the Automatons, we have to go way back before my time even. This was a bedtime story my father used to tell me. We need to go back about 200 years ago to when Super Earth was looking for better and more efficient ways to conquer the galaxy. They were run out of metal, they were building too many big statues, too many spaceships, and we need to find more planets that are full of metal. Skull Admiral, sir, we found a planet that's made entirely of metal to fund our conquest of the galaxy. Great work, Cadet. What's the name of this planet? We're calling it Cyberstan, for no specific reason of any robots that might appear in the future. Well, this can't possibly have any bad outcomes for us in the future or have any horrible foreshadowing. Great work, Cadet. I'm gonna promote you to Super Duper Extra Cadet. Cyberstan is a downright frigid, inhospitable world. And actually a fun fact here. If you go into Helldivers 2 and scroll up to the top of the map, you'll find the Valdis sector. And if you go into that Valdis sector, you'll find Cyberstan right in the middle. But that's enough modern day. Once the Super Earth government discovered Cyberstan, they sent colonists there to set up camp immediately and start mining operations. You know, if you really look out at the land here and ignore the freezing temperatures, this is quite a beautiful planet. Shut up, Jerry. We've got mining to do. Let's level this place. Mining day in and day out for Super Earth is real tiring business, but it's even more tiring when you're on a planet that's incredibly cold and just wants you to leave. We don't know exactly when it started or who it was started by, but the citizens of Cyberstan started experimenting with medical implants to help them get their work done faster and better and to survive the cold environment. Oh boy, do I love carrying boxes for the Super Earth government. Oh, God, a rock. Oh, my legs. Oh, I don't know how long I can keep doing this. Whoa, Jerry, where did you come from and what are you even saying? Oh, sorry, I forgot you don't know that language yet. I was just mining like you, but then I broke my legs, and they gave me these new robot legs, and oh my god, they're so much better. You gotta try out the robot legs. Well, you know, if I had robot legs, I could carry a lot more ore for Super Earth. You know, I might give these robot legs a try. Jerry, where'd you get the robot leg? Well, when I broke my leg, they sent me this creepy dude in a cave over there, and he just gave me new legs, and you gotta go see him. I think his name was Dave. Oh, okay. He seems like a nice guy. I guess I'll go talk to Dave. The residents of Cyberstan continued with these medical enhancements to help their daily lives until eventually they started to become more machine than man, and this led to some problems. It led to the residents questioning, hey, why are we doing this for Super Earth? We could be mining all these materials and using them for ourselves to make more robot legs and stuff. Also, by the way, what if we adopted space communism as a religion here? Being that these humans here on Cyberstan were no longer really human, they were more machine than man, they decided to call themselves the Cyborgs. And this is actually an enemy type you fight in Helldivers 1, which if you see here, they're mostly machine, but you can definitely see parts of them there that are still human-ish. And this is in contrast to our current automatons that look like complete robots. I say look like because we're going to get some interesting stuff later in this video. They might not be fully mechanical. There's a good chance they have some human parts still in them. Now, the Super Earth government, hearing all this happening, people are replacing their legs with robot legs. They've switched to super space communism. None of that's happening under their control. They're sending Helldivers in. They're figuring the situation out. So, to oversimplify the story of the first Helldivers real quick, the humans were able to push back the cyborgs, they contained them to their planet, and they disarmed them. And after they disarmed them, they took over all the factories, all the mines. Super Earth has that directly in control now, and they're going to re-educate them about how space communism was wrong. Now, being that the Super Earth government could never make a mistake, they are a managed democracy that is just beautiful. There's no errors here, and oh god, they've gotten mad that we kept them subjugated, and they've made complete robots to fight us. Oh no. Now, there's no direct information confirming it, but you have two options here. Either the cyborgs went fully autonomous and became basically all robot, or the cyborgs made these robots in order to fight back humanity. Now, the first thing we're going to look at here that supports the latter option, that these robots were made to fight humanity and are not the cyborgs involved themselves, are actually the logos you see for both of them. Now, if you take a look here at the logo of the cyborgs from Helldivers 1, you see a red star that's broken into 4 parts. And that red might be space communism now that we think about it. It absolutely is. It's related to space communism. But let's take a shift over here to Helldivers 2 and look at the logo for the Automatons. It's shifted to black in coloring. So why the change in the color scheme here, and why the gear that was added around the outer edge? I think if the cyborgs just upgraded themselves to the point of being fully mechanical, they would have kept their same original red star symbolism. But if they were making a new tool that they wanted to use to help fight off the Helldivers, maybe they would give it some new color schemes, symbolism, so it's something that's fighting along with them and is not them themselves. And also, why the change from red to black? I think that may be due to the shift that in the cyborgs, they originally, had blood because they're still fairly human, and moving over to now that the lifeblood of the automatons is oil. And the black there is oil, the red was blood before, not just communism, also blood. Man, I feel like an English teacher now. But that is not all. There is one more thing that proves it even further. We have one singular tweet from 2021 from the Helldivers 1 Twitter of all places. So 3 years ago, they already think about automatons here. Helldivers 1 put out this message completely in binary, which someone was able to transfer into the message we'll see on screen now. We, the collective from Cyberstan, unanimously assert our independence from Super Earth. We have the right to defend our home from the brainwashed Helldivers. Our children, the Automatons, will not suffer as we have under the oppression of Super Earth. So other than this just being treasonous garbage against the government of Super Earth here, this gives us some interesting info. That means that the automatons were directly made by the cyborgs as a weapon to fight Helldivers, which explains a lot of their anatomy. It explains why guys have got chainsaw arms, why things are just loaded down with guns. These were built to fight. And the cyborgs' original plan was they wanted to design these automatons in order to push towards Super Earth, take over, and wipe out the threat of humanity ever taking over Cyberstan again. Now, that isn't how the current timeline is going in the game. In the current timeline, Super Earth is pushing the automatons back, they've got them contained to one sector, but what will happen? Will they be able to wipe them out? Nobody knows. And that brings us to modern day on the lore. So now it's time to move on to the next half of this video. Is he asleep? I think I can leave. Grandfather, tell me more about the robots. Oh, God. Okay. Of course, Jimmy, I'll tell you more about the robots. All right, now that we've gone through the lore, it's time to break down the automatons themselves. Let's take a look at them and see how they're made. Because I hinted at something earlier that they might not be fully robotic, and let's dig into that here. We have our first robot up on the list, the Trooper. It's the basic guy. They come with a few loadouts. They get a basic gun. Sometimes they have swords. Sometimes they jump at you. Very scary. But if you look at him, it looks very humanoid. It's 2 legs, 2 arms, got a head. And why would the cyborgs build a robot that's humanoid? Well, because they are still humanoid as well, so they want to build something in their image. Or could it be a little more than just they want to build something in their image? Something I hinted at earlier, that these robots might not be fully mechanical, we're going to dig into a little bit here. So, in playing Helldivers 2, when you're fighting the bots and you're going around a bot planet, you'll notice, cages with human prisoners in them. Why do robots have any reason to take human prisoners? Well, you also notice in some of these camps they have a lot of bits of people laying around. They've kind of torn them apart a little. Very nasty. I'm going to blur that here because YouTube will not like me showing that. But why would they be doing this? If you look even closer, it seems like they want the brains. Of course the evil robots want the brains. But there's a reason for this. I don't think the automatons are just doing this to scare people. They could, but why would robots have need to try to instill fear, or why would that even be programmed into them? I think instead, the robots here are trying to harvest the most powerful computer that humanity has ever developed, the human brain. I'm going to say it now, and I've seen this other places online too. I think that the automatons, every single one, are controlled by a human brain. And there's some evidence for that I'm going to dig into quick. Automatons, when they're patrolling on the map, if you don't alert them, you can hear them chanting. Now, why would a fully mechanical species of space robots need to chant? Chanting in a normal military is done to keep pace, keep people motivated, and as a team-building activity. Robots don't need to do that. They communicate through Wi-Fi or however the hell they do it. But might they still be chanting as a little leftover bit from the human brain that's in there? Another piece of evidence is one of the tool tips you can get when you're loading into an automaton match is that the robots are affected by suppressive fire. Now, why would a species of fully mechanical space robots be affected by suppressive fire? That wouldn't be programmed in by their creators. You want them to be perfect all the time. I think that's a leftover instinct from the human brain that's in there. They hear the loud sounds, bright flashes, and they want to hide. Robots wouldn't do that. The human brain, yes. This would also explain why the basic guys, and even the more advanced guys, all have 2 arms and 2 legs. To work off that instinct of just walking and using your arms normally, they would want the robots designed like this. If you built like a little car, the brain wouldn't have to do with a little car, so they've got legs and arms. I don't want to say this is definitive proof, but being that they're stealing people and how they react, I think that the robots are not mechanical, and there is a human brain somewhere in there. And I don't like that. That scares me. That makes me even more scared of the automatons. Moving on to the next robot on our list here, we've got the Commissar, who again supports the idea that these are actually controlled by human brains, because the Commissar acts as a leader for the bots, calls in bot drops, kind of commands around the robots, and why would the robots need a leader if they just had a perfect algorithm that was controlling them? They wouldn't. So, more evidence there's brains in there. But the Commissar, very nasty because of that bot drop. Take this one out first if you can. And next up on our list, we're going to look at the Scout Strider, which I think shows some evidence here that when the cyborgs were making the automatons, it was a development process. They didn't have just all of them planned out from the start, and they're like, yep, we're going to throw them all out there. Why would you have a robot controlling a walking gun when later on we see something like the Hulk, which is literally just a walking pile of guns? I think that first they made the automatons to all be people-sized and generally people-based. So they had to build something for them to control, like the walker here. And the walker would also be simple for them to integrate with the existing automatons they're building because they don't need to make the brain they're using in their controls with the funky things. It's just a normal robot, and then it walks around in this weird little leggy vehicle. It's got a gun on the front, so fairly easy to build and control. So this is probably like the next step up on stuff. The Berserker here is an interesting specimen because the Berserker has chainsaw hands, which one, on top of being far cooler than Edward Scissorhands because chainsaw better than scissors, is proof here that the cyborgs were designing these robots here purely for war. They wanted to build these to fight off the Helldivers. What is this guy going to do on Cybertron or Cyberstan or whatever it's called? Is he going to mine? No, it's a mining planet. Chainsaws aren't good for mining. This here is built to fight off the Helldivers completely. So that proves, even more so, that the cyborgs were trying to design weapons of war to fight the Helldivers when they made the automatons. Looking here at our next automaton, we've got the Devastator, who comes in a couple of varieties. You've got the rocket variety, which is absolutely horrible to deal with. I tell you what, I think they're the bot that kills me the most, the stupid rocket devastators. Because they've got decent armor to them, and they throw rockets at you. But the basic guy we're looking at here right now, no rockets, just heavily armored. I think when the cyborgs were looking at these, they thought, okay, we're going to need something that can withstand a few shots, because those Helldivers, man, they got guns, and we don't like that. So we're going to need something that can take a hit or two. Look at this guy. This is the scariest automaton I've ever seen. The Hulk. I swear these things are worse than the tanks. I thought the tanks would be off when they dropped in. No. Dealing with the Hulks is worse because they can move faster, they can spin around and aim faster. Honestly, they're harder to take out than the tanks. But I want to take a moment to talk about the devs here, not the lore. I love how much this is based off the Warhammer 40k Dreadnoughts. The look is the same, the feel is the same, but it's definitely unique too. I love that. Chef's kiss. Perfect design there. Which, speaking of design, when the cyborgs designing these guys, the same principle applies. The Helldivers here are starting to make things like vehicles and tanks. In Helldivers 1, you did get to use vehicles and tanks, so they're going to need something that can withstand those tanks. And hey, the Hulk here, ton of armor, still walks around like a dude. There's probably, I'm going to guess, a standard robot dude packed into the center there, much like they do in the Warhammer 40k Dreadnoughts. So, probably opens up, get a dude in there. It's technically a vehicle, not a person. Which, speaking of vehicles, we've got our first automaton vehicle to look at here, the tank. Now, the tank here, I think, operates much like a real-world tank. It's got a main gun, it's got a little side gun down the front here. I bet you there is 3 basic automatons in here controlling this thing. You've got a driver, because it can move independently of the turret, so then you've got a gunner who's controlling the turret, and you've got an extra gunner who's controlling this little side turret. The last automaton vehicle we've got to talk about is the dropship. And this here is the logistics base of the automatons. The commissars call it that flare, which calls in these. And these drop off new enemies. It can even drop off whole tanks. So this thing is wild. It can carry a lot of weight, but it's awesome for bringing bots around. Because you'll see normally, they're pretty slow. They don't run that fast. They need something to move them. And the automatons, I'm assuming, thinking like Super Earth here, if they've got a technology, they're going to turn it into a weapon somehow. And oh ho ho, they have. The dropships recently have started appearing as gunships, and they spawn from little factories on the map and then plague you forever. They're awful, I hate them. But they're an awesome piece of technology to use against Super Earths. I can see why the cyborgs developed them. I actually don't have any good image to show you of them because they always have this blaring red light in the front, so you really can't see them, but you can kind of pick out here. It's got the similar 4 engines to the dropship, so this is definitely just a modified dropship they threw some guns on. And it works. It works really well. This is awesome at stopping the Helldivers. So I think that about wraps up all the automaton. Oh, hold on. I'm going to call here. That's not all the enemies. There's a new enemy. So you're telling me we get one new walker, and oh no, the new airship isn't difficult enough for them. We need to get a factory that walks around as a giant cannon. Why don't I just go? Oh, okay. So there's a new enemy that came out recently. It's an AT-AT-like walker. Just started appearing in people's matches, and it is horrifying. It's tall, it's massive, it's like Bile-Titan sized. It's got massive guns on it to shoot at you. And apparently, it's called a factory walker, which means it also spits out other bots out the bottom of it, so that is terrifying. Now, why do I think the cyborgs would design a literal walking factory? I'm not honestly sure. Around the map, you find plenty of normal factories, and the dropships can reasonably pick up bots from those factories. Maybe this one is just for fun. They wanted to build something to scare the Helldivers. I don't know. It's working. But I think that's enough talking about communist space robots for today. We've actually exhausted all the automaton enemies to talk about, so thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this, love you with that like button, and if you're looking to see more content like this, love you consider that subscribe button down below. Thanks, and I'll see you next time. Grandfather, I think there might be an automaton under my bed. Shut up, Jimmy. No, there isn't.